Hey everybody, this is TJR, and if this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. If not, welcome back. And today we have an advanced unboxing and review of Close to the Edge Super Deluxe Edition by Yes. Now, I'm going to first just discuss the package contents, and then I will take some time to listen and come back and talk about my thoughts on the audio. So first of all, just like with previous Super Deluxe editions of the Yes catalog that we've seen over the last few years from Rhino, this is being done, of course, in this very nice looking hardcover style book format. One thing though that is different, unlike say with Fragile, where we had what I would refer to as an end paper. You would find this shrink wrapped here with this paper on the back here, like so. You would unwrap it, and of course this would come off. You're supposed to throw this away, I guess, but I just can't do that. I have to keep these things. So I put it inside of here. And I get it because you don't want to obscure this artwork. You know, you really don't want to do that. But this time, however, though, they chose to not put an end paper on it. They just chose to do this. Now, I don't mind that this time because the original artwork on the back was this. And you've got the same photos here, you know, a little smaller. But in this case, I think they made the right call by just simply not giving you that extra piece of paper and just putting it here on the back. It works for me this time. Another little interesting thing I wanted to point out here is that when you open it up here, of course, just like with the Yes album and with the Fragile set, you've got the Blu-ray here first. You've got the CDs of bonus material. The Fragile set was only a Blu-ray and 4 CD set. This is a Blu-ray and 5 CD set, and a lot of that has to do with the fact of the concert audio takes up 2 discs. We'll be talking all about that, of course. But here, of course, we have the Blu-ray, and here we have the actual album. And instead of, you know, putting it here on these little placeholders, they actually gave the album a little sleeve. This is something that they didn't do with Fragile, and I kind of like that they did this because, you know, I have, of course, the same CD that I've had since the 80s. And sometimes if I really like a remaster, I may just decide to let go of my older CD. And so I like the fact that this is in a little sleeve that I can put in my CD shelf. I don't have to keep it inside of this. I can put it in my CD shelf with my other CDs and have a bit easier access to listening to it. And even if I do want to keep both, I know some people do, once again, just the easy access of just having the album easily accessible, you know, with your CD collection. So I kind of appreciate that. I can still, of course, just keep it inserted here in its book here and just do that if I want. So let's actually look at what's contained here. So disc 1 is the original album remastered. This is a 2025 remastering. Disc 2 contains the Steven Wilson 2025, remixes and instrumentals. Now, what this is here that you see, this is basically the album twice. You get a new remixing by Steven Wilson with vocals, and then on the same disc, you get that same remix but without vocals. In a lot of cases, with a lot of other bands, I would say, why are you giving me these instrumental tracks? What point do these serve here? But with Yes, it's a totally different experience. And this is just because of just how, you know, technical the music is. That being able to listen to it without the vocals lets me just hear more things that I couldn't hear with them. And don't get me wrong, I love the vocals and everything. I do want to hear the remix with the vocals, of course. But I feel like it's an extra nice bonus treat to have it without the vocals. And I can just hear that remix, hear the clarity of the instruments, just hear little technical details that I, didn't hear previously. So, like I said, with a lot of other bands, when they give me these instrumental versions, I'm not sure what I'm there for except karaoke. But here, it just makes total sense to do that with Yes. By the way, I do know that there was supposed to be an earlier remix of this album by Steven Wilson, but apparently, from what I can tell, this is brand new. I've never heard the previous ones from some years back, so I can't really compare it. But if you have, please let us know your thoughts. Disc 3 is Rarities. And this, of course, contains single versions, radio edits, rough mixes, alternate versions, and some tracks that we call Steven Wilson edits. And so again, I'll be listening to all of this and I'll be discussing all of that in a moment here. Then we have disc 4 and 5, which is Live at the Rainbow, London, England, 12/16/1972. This is a concert over 2 discs. I certainly enjoyed the live material from the last set, so I'm probably going to enjoy this one just as well. And then, of course, we have the Blu-ray, which contains, Atmos 5.1, high-resolution stereo, the remix in instrumental as well, just like we got on the CD, and even just the 2025 remaster, just in high-resolution stereo. So we get all that on the Blu-ray. And, I should show you the Blu-ray. I don't think I pulled that out for you here. Here we go. And here's the back with the contents here that you can see. And of course, here is the actual disc. It comes in a little inner sleeve. And we'll just pull this out and give you a look at that here. There we go. Very nicely done. One other thing I might add is that if you're like me, if you're kind of clumsy and awkward like me, you might have a little trouble popping these out at first. But after a try or two, I just want to let you know they do loosen up and then they're very easy to just take in and out. Of course, finally now, we have the LP, which sits in this sleeve here. There we go. And this is, of course, in a black paper envelope, but with poly-lined interior. Very smart. Always glad to see that here. Finally, then, we also have the booklet, which is also in the same envelope as the LP. Here we go. Very beautiful. And, of course, this was the artwork that you, of course, had on the original interior, which we see here, but here we get to see it with an unobstructed view. This just happens to open up on the centerfold. So here is the original inner sleeve artwork with lyrics and other notes. And of course, we have an essay here. There we go. I'm going to be reading this and I'll be talking about it too. I've been very pleased with the new liner notes that have been in the previous versions here. And if I'm not mistaken, the liner notes on this one are by the same author as the Fragile edition. There's some more. And let me see here. Let me just grab the name here. I'm sorry, I don't have it off the top of my head here, the name of the author here. Here we go. Sid Schwartz, yes. Yes, I believe he wrote the last one too. And here is the final page here. Final pages of the booklet. There we go. Fragile, the album that preceded this, was, of course, the big commercial breakthrough for Yes. That, of course, very much propelled by the popularity of the single Roundabout, which, of course, had its, on FM rock radio, you would hear it in its full version, but it had its own AM radio version edit, which they included on the Fragile set, which is what I first heard as a kid, a very young teenager in the 70s, hearing music on radio for the first time. And like a lot of kids, I started on AM radio top 40 before I graduated over to FM rock. And this album, however, didn't really have any AM radio hits on the level of, say, Roundabout. And even though I would never call Fragile a commercial album by any stretch of the imagination, by comparison, it's a lot more commercial than Close to the Edge. And yet, surprisingly, Close to the Edge was more successful as far as sales and chart positions in both the US and the UK than Fragile was. And that to me is kind of mind-blowing when I look at today and just how terrible the commercial restraints are. So yeah, just an amazing time that could happen in, that you could be this musically technical and yet still chart well, and basically be a commercially viable act, even though you weren't considered commercial. Wrap your brain around that one. So that's the contents. The package looks great. They've all looked great. The Yes album, Fragile, this one, they've all looked great. So now I'm going to listen. I'm going to take notes, and I'm going to come back with my report. Okay, it's been a few days, and it's time to talk about the audio. First, we have the 2025 remaster. Now, I did an A to B comparison against the CD I bought back in the 80s and my vintage 70s vinyl copy that I bought used a few years ago. And honestly, this is one of the better remasters I've heard. It definitely blew away my original CD. So much so that I will be letting go of my original CD and replacing it with the one in this set. It also really knocked it out of the park against my original 70s LP. And I have to admit, this really surprised me, because I really thought I was going to get the same results this year as I did last year when it came to comparing the vinyl. And at this moment in time, I'm seriously considering letting go of my 70s LP and replacing it with this new remastered version. Over the next few months, I'm going to compare them a few more times, and then I'll make a decision on that. This brings us to Disc 2, which is the 2025 Steven Wilson remix. I should add that Steven Wilson's reputation precedes him when it comes to remixing classic albums. He always seems to do an outstanding job, and this time is no exception either. He always manages to deliver a new listening perspective on an old classic. So let me make it perfectly clear that I do like this new remix, but I have to say that, in my humble opinion, it is really more for analytical listening, which I do like to do. However, for a more emotional experience, I will stick to the new remaster. This brings us to Disc 3, Rarities. Now, Rarities starts with a single version of America and a single version of Total Mass Retain, and also a radio promo edit version of And You and I. Honestly, I can remember actually hearing this radio edit of And You and I on the radio, of all places, back in the 70s. In fact, it was my introduction to the song, and honestly, it was fun to hear it again after all these years. This radio edit works. Now, as for the single version of Total Mass Retain, I will just stick to the album version. I was, however, happily surprised at how well the single version of America works. Now, after that, we have some alternate takes and rough mixes. And if you know me, you know that I have always really enjoyed hearing these kind of work-in-progress tracks. I know they're not everybody's cup of tea, but they are certainly mine. The Rarities disc finishes off with what is referred to as Steven Wilson edits, and there are 3 of them. Honestly, I'm not sure what to make of these. They do sound good, but I don't understand what they are here for. Correct me if I'm wrong, but these are just nothing more than edited versions of the full remixes that we got from Disc 2. I'm going to just listen to the full versions instead of listening to these. Finally, we have Disc 4 and 5, Live at the Rainbow, London, England, December 16th, 1972. Now, again, if you know me, live tracks have always been the one thing that I enjoy the least in these Super Deluxe sets. I think some of it has to do with the fact that sometimes these live tracks have dubious audio quality. But last year's Super Deluxe Edition of Fragile and of the Police's Synchronicity album really started to make me turn around on this opinion. I really enjoyed the live tracks on those 2 editions, and I am really enjoying the live tracks that make up the last 2 discs of this edition. If for nothing else than to hear just the absolute mastery these musicians have with their instruments. And it's really what sets this band apart from so many others. And I also have to add that I really enjoyed hearing Rick Wakeman play a very jazzed up version of Jingle Bells. Now, I don't know if this is possible, but if the separate tracks from these live recordings are available, I would strongly encourage Rhino Records to explore the possibility of having someone like, say, Steven Wilson or someone like him remix these live performances and create a more immersive experience with them. Because while the live performances on this edition are great, they still, on an audio level, feel a bit flat. I can't help but feel their remix could really liven them up. Again, perhaps there are no separate tracks available, and perhaps the only way that this could happen is with the new demixing technology used to remix Revolver. Let me know what you think of this idea. You never know. Rhino might be listening. And that pretty much wraps up the audio content. Also, I will add that the booklet was also very well written, very informative. So now the only thing left to do is ask the question, what is next for Rhino Records and Yes? This series started with the Yes album and so far has been going in chronological order. So will the next album to get the Super Deluxe treatment be Tales from the Topographic Ocean? Would you like to all see that one? Please leave a comment and let us know. The other thing they might do is jump ahead to what was the last really big commercial hit for the band, which was the album 90125. I personally think the band's debut is highly underrated, so I would be more than happy to see them do something with this album. So again, share your thoughts. You never know when Rhino might be listening. Overall, I am very pleased with this Super Deluxe Edition re-release. For me, the remaster on both CD and vinyl was the real star of this set, with the live tracks coming in second. But let me know your thoughts. As always, if you like these videos, be sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and hit the bell notification icon so you never miss a video. A big thank you to my Patreon supporters. Patreon supporters do receive exclusive weekly videos not available on this channel. If you'd like to be a Patreon supporter, please go to patreon.com/TJR the Original. If you can't, you can always consider leaving a one-time super thanks, or you can just click like, and that will help this channel a great deal. In a few moments, you're going to see some recommendations for some other videos that I have created and posted in the past that you will hopefully find entertaining and enlightening. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Long live rock and roll, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.